Good evening, everybody. You hear Plunky, keep going, that sounds good. You hear J. Plunky Branch, you see J. Plunky Branch. I know that you may be familiar with saxophone, the sounds, the lyrics, the melodies. The funk. And we're going to dig in tonight to spend some time with J. Plunky Branch. This is the 2022 Black Book Expo, a conscious literary festival. And we have started last night and we will continue tonight. This Arthur Chat with J. Plunky Branch. His book is Juju Jazz Poetics. You didn't know he was a poet, did you? You know that he's a whole lot of things. And we're grateful. Grateful for that. But now you can see that he's a poet as well. So make yourselves comfortable. Come on into the room. We'll wait a little while as people are choosing to join in. Know that the comments are ready for you to be a part of this conversation. Enjoy the music, get into the vibration. I'm happy that you're here. 2022 Black Book Expo, a conscious literary festival. You know, at the Elegba Folklore Society, we involve ourselves with some festivals. This one is all about the book, all about the vibration inside the books, the personalities, the stories, the music. And we are happy to be here tonight to begin to talk about the music, the Juju Jazz Poetics. Sounding good, right? I want you to know that these Arthur Chats happening this week and next week are the virtual version of the Black Book Expo, a conscious literary festival, and then we will continue On February 26th and February 27th at the Dominion Energy Center in Rhythm Hall, where we'll have tables filled with books of all genre. As you can see here, we'll have some independent authors. Let me tell you, Calvin Brown is gonna come and give us some music on Saturday, February 26th, on February 27th, Sunday. Both days bring the family, but particularly bring your children on Sunday because Culture Queen is gonna come. She has a book, The Me I See. She will engage your children. Also, Desiree Root, one of our favorite performers, is gonna join us on Sunday as well. And who knows, somebody we know on this call may even make a cameo appearance. So we're going to get ready to dig in and talk with J. Plunky Branch. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and it's great to be here with you.
It's great to have you here. It is great to have you here. So for those of you who may not know, let me just say that saxophonist J. Plunky Branch is an experienced performer. Well, I guess we know that. Songwriter, producer, and musicologist. He has released 30 albums and composed, are you ready for this? Over 450 songs. Wow, take a minute, let that sink in. Juju Jazz Poetics is Plunky's first volume of poetry. His autobiography, Plunky, Juju Jazz Funk and Oneness, a musical memoir, was published in 2015. And we do have it here at the Alegba Folklore Society's Cultural Center. In case you missed it, you need to pick it up. And he has produced 3 documentary films, including Under the Radar, a survey of Afro-Cuban music shot in Cuba in 2001. In 2018, J. Plunky Branch received the prestigious 50 for 50 award from the Virginia Commission for the Arts as one of the 50 outstanding persons in Virginia over the last 50 years. What a testament to life, right? In 2015, I'm not done, he was selected as one of the strong men and women in Virginia history by the Library of Virginia. About the poetry book, Juju Jazz Poetics, he says, I have taken to blowing my own horn. We know that, right? And maybe I have steadied the boundaries of ego and versatility by assuming to call myself a poet. He goes on to say that he'll let us be the judge. Thank you, Plunky, for coming tonight.
As I said, it's my pleasure to be here with you.
Your life is the personification of a poem, where lyrics, melody, and rhythm are punctuated with travel and world experience. How fortunate you have been.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing these experiences with all of us. What has stimulated the writings you share in Juju Jazz Poetics?
Well, I've been writing poetry since I was in college. I went to school at Columbia University, and I published my first poems in a volume on campus. It was avant-garde kind of poetry, and I have been documenting my thoughts and feelings in that way ever since. As you said, I've written a number of songs, and by the way, my 450 songs seems like a lot, until you factor in that I've been doing it for 50 years. And if you do the math, that's only about 10 songs a year. So it's not all that prolific. But when you put them all together, it sounds like a lot. And, you know, the thing that I like about poetry is that it doesn't have to be factual. It just has to have meaning to you, and hopefully it'll strike a chord with someone else. And I like poetry, not just my own. I read other poets as well, local poets and poets from far off. I just love the idea of poetry is very close to music for me, because each person gets to layer their own feelings and their own meanings atop the words. And we just use the words of one other person to trigger us to go other places in time. So I love poetry for that. And it's also short. You know, when you reference my memoir, it's 455 pages.
Wow.
And so when you have this giant, thick book, they may be put off. They may be saying, well, I don't even want to tackle this because it's so much. But what I like, one of the things I like about poetry is that you can digest it in smaller pieces. You can take a book and put it beside your bedspread and read it at night, or in your bathroom, so you can read it when you have some moments, and it's quiet 400 pages, you know, to get a meaning from it.
When you have some moments, we're gonna leave that one right there. But you're right. The lyrics, the melody, the rhythm, it's all poetry. So we know you because of this thing about Juju. When we met, you and I met decades ago, it was all about the Juju. You start, what is this Juju, and how did you come to be in relationship with it?
Juju has several meanings. To start, the etymology of that word comes from the French when they colonized in West Africa, particularly in the region around Nigeria. They encountered African religion, and they thought of it as a plaything. The word jouer in French means to play, and Juju was like a toy. And so they called the African religions Juju, and because they thought it was a plaything. The Africans themselves, even after they were told what the French meant with that word, they said, we can call it that if you like, if you want to think it's a plaything. For us, it's deadly serious or heavenly serious. So that's where the word Juju comes from. It's a kind of a French layer onto West African culture. Juju, I encountered Juju having come from an African group. My first jazz group experience was in San Francisco in 1969, working with a man named Untitled Chapter. And when I left his band, I formed my own band, and we were looking for a name for the group. And we liked the term Juju because it had an African feel. And to be very frank and direct, a saxophonist, Archie Shepp, put out a record in those years called The Magic of Juju. Mm-hmm. And this profoundly effective record for it. It was a very meditative, free jazz with layers of polyrhythms. And so because we were using polyrhythms in my band and the saxophone as the lead, we said Juju would be a good name. So that's two references to Juju. But I want to, if I can, tell a little story. Whenever since I had the group Juju, people would always ask me the question, what does Juju mean? And I would always have an answer. I would say it's a West African religion, not too far afield from what we might consider voodoo. It's in African terms, it's the way that you affect someone else's subconscious with your own through prayer or music or talisman. But that was always not good enough. People would still frown up their face and say, what does Juju mean? So for me, it was the name of my band. It was a West African religion. It was a French word. But when I got my first chance to go to West Africa, after many years of studying about African culture and wanting to go, I got a chance to go. And I went to go on a tour, and I went to Nigeria. And I presented my first album. The album was called Message from Mozambique, Juju. And when the Nigerians saw that, they said, this is great, an African-American man playing Juju music. But then when they put the record on, it wasn't Juju music. They said, this isn't Juju. They frowned up their faces, and then they actually got angry. They said, what amounted to, you're appropriating our culture, saying Juju, but it's not Juju. So took that on the chin and went to Ghana. And when I went to Ghana on this same tour, when I arrived on the plane, I saw posters that said Plunky and the Oneness of God. In certain parts of Ghana, they wouldn't even say Juju on the radio because it had a connotation of like black magic. And so they advertised me as, come see Plunky and Oneness of God. And then another part of Nigeria, when I went to the northern part of Ghana, I would say, they said, what's the name of the band? And I said, Oneness of Juju. And they would laugh. They would, fall on the ground laughing. They thought it was the greatest concept. And I said, well, what's so funny? And one of them explained, they said, well, in our language, Juju is the same as doo-doo. So they were saying, what a great concept. Yes, oneness, everybody has it. But oneness of, and they used the term SH to say. So I said Juju was maybe not the best name because it always has to be explained. And so the name of the band when I got back to Plunky and Oneness.
Well, that is a story. I didn't know all of that because I ain't got no problem with Juju.
Of course, but you have to go to the northern part of Ghana and they would say no. Right.
They say, I want to invite those of you who are joining us this evening to please share your comments. If you have questions for Plunky, I'm sure that he will be more than happy to answer them as we're talking about his book, Juju Jazz Poetics. Now, you have in the book a poem about Juju. You start the book with a poem about Juju. Could you share it with us?
I will. The name of the book is Juju Jazz Poetics. So a great place to start is a poem called Juju Is. And what I want to try to do is do it with music accompaniment, and we'll see if that works. We'll pretend we're at a poetry slam. Can you hear that?
Yes.
Great. It's Juju Is. That's the name of this poem. Juju is. Juju is African magic, conjured spirits, black spells cast. Juju is Congolese outfits, scary sculptures and masks. It's Cuban Santeria and Haitian voodoo. It's Jamaican Obeah and Mississippi hoodoo. That's Juju. And induced trance and Ade, Obe, or Dele music at a Lagos dance. A ritual that subverts a debasing word from France. Let them say Juju is a toy, a plaything made out of the dialect of a black prayer prayed. Juju is knowing about irony and euphemisms and using the secret power of African rhythms. In response to enslavement and colonization, Juju, with its mystification, has the power to change the collective imagination. That's Juju.
I like it. What about those of you who are joining us? What do you think about this poem?
Juju is.
Juju is. The African magic, conjured spirits. You know, this really pairs with the sister we talked with last night, who has a book about African American spirituality, rituals and conjure and hoodoo. And she talked about a little Juju as well
Yes.
in her book. So you also have several poems about jazz, and one is called Jazz is More, where you say jazz is more than laying on the floor, drifting over the familiar territory of my room, with John Coltrane taking me back to my future. Talk with words or music about this concept of how our past is the guide to our future, particularly from an Afrocentric view.
And particularly from a jazz-centric view.
Mm-hmm.
Jazz, if nothing else, is a music that is both current and pays homage to, or stands on the shoulders, the musical shoulders of those who have come before us. Jazz is that link to our past, to our African-American past. Our African-American past, we're appropriately talking about jazz is that link to our past, to our African-American past. Our African-American listening to but it is very appropriate that we're talking about this here in the month of February, because this is when we celebrate American history through the African-American culture. For me, jazz is all that and more. Jazz is a continuing, developing music and philosophy. It's based on polyrhythms, as is African music. It is based on improvisation, as is most Black music. And it's based on spirituality. It's based on the ability to affect one's own psyche and communicate across time and space and distance to others, even transcending language barriers. So jazz music has the ability, and I know this firsthand, I don't have to speculate. I have gone to different places on the planet and played music for people, places like Cuba or Paris, France, or Italy or Guatemala, places where not everybody in the audience even speaks my language, but I know that I communicate with them because they let me know it through their applause and through their exuberant response to the music. And again, you don't have to worry about me being vain or egotistical, because I know that they're responding not so much to Plunky, but in relationship to the music, the history, the spirit that's infused in our history. And that can transcend. Music can reach across barriers. I'm fond of saying that music is very close to akin to magic. And here we are with that magic and juju and ritual and all those things. But music is that art form that allows us to affect someone from across the room. It was thought to be magic early on, because how could somebody blow on a reed flute and make me have goose pimples without touching me, make me feel something without coming over and smacking me upside the head? Music was thought to be a magical thing. And in some ways it still is. We can still be excited whether we're watching Elegba Folklore Society and feeling the actual traditional drumming, or at the Super Bowl and hear some rappers doing what might have been called gangster rap. I sit there with the same goose pimples, with the same thing saying, go Black people, charm this world, even where you might not have been wanted, you can go there and affect people's spirit and raise people's spirit. So, when we talk about jazz, I don't just think of it as the traditional music with swing beats. I think it's all kind of jazz. That's why I call my group Plunky and Oneness, because it's all one music to me. I'm constantly playing the blues. I'm playing the blues and rhythm, whether I'm playing saxophone or singing. I'm doing the blues and rhythm. That's because the blues is my tradition, and the blues is both African and African American. And so, excuse me for going on, but I get excited to talk about what.
Well, it's your life.
Yeah.
It's your life, and it's so rich, and it's exemplary of aspects of what we all have inside. brother, let me go back to this comment as we're talking about Juju Jazz Poetics. Let me go back to this comment where Brother Man was talking about how it's our birthright. And that's really what we're considering here tonight. Talking about our self-expression, and in this case, through music. Brother Brian suggested that this conversation and the central aspect of it is indeed a birthright. You have a poem called The Revolution.
Oh,
and you said in the beginning that you do poems because they're short, but all of them are short.
No,
this one
is quite lengthy.
Yeah, you went in.
Yeah.
Tell us more. What is this about? The revolution. Don't miss it this time.
Yeah, I start off with quotes. One, the famous quote from Gil Scott-Heron says, "The revolution will not be televised." And then there's a quote from the Last Poets that's one of the titles of their poem was, "Niggas are scared of revolution." And then from my own group, Juju, from our first album, we had a song that said, "The revolution is not coming, the revolution is now." And what I did in this poem was dissect all three of those concepts. When Gil Scott, who was a friend of ours, when he said the revolution will not be televised, I think it struck a nerve because it was the concept of this, what was going on in the 60s and early 70s. There was a lot of rebellion, a lot of demonstrations, a lot of riots in the street. We lost several people to assassinations. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, and then the Kennedys. And it seemed that that assassination and political violence led to the expression from the community to express themselves in some ways, the only ways they had access. We didn't have social media at the time. You couldn't go online in the late 60s to say, I'm really upset about Martin Luther King being killed. We had no media access. And so one of the ways we were able to express ourselves was through this rebellion. So one of the things I tackle in the poem is Gil's concept that the revolution will not be televised. And in fact, that may have been true when he wrote it, but I think in today's world, it likely would be televised. If we're having revolution, it will be on a screen somewhere. So a part of the poem is dedicated to that. Then the second concept is niggas are scared of revolution. I sort of allude to the fact that people sort of hide out. We have our apprehensions about getting involved. We're sometimes afraid to touch a nerve, or we're afraid that we'll be arrested if we express ourselves. We know that historically there have been parts of the US government that have turned their power to suppressing us. The concept of COINTELPRO, if you don't know about it, look it up. That was the process through which the FBI wanted to quell our revolutionary thrust. And so they infiltrated, they sabotaged artists who might have been able to strike that kind of nerve. They were confronted, jailed, sometimes worse. And so I touch on that in this lengthy poem. And then last is this concept from the Juju record. The revolution is not something that's coming. The revolution is going on right now. The revolution, your own personal revolution, might come as a result of listening to Janine or some inspired speaker that strikes a nerve and says, says to you that you can change the trajectory of your life. That, in fact, would be a revolution. And so the poem is lengthy because I'm trying to cover all these bases, but it says, revolution, don't miss it this time, because sometimes some of us slept through the 60s and 70s and some of us weren't born. So this time when it comes around, I'm urging people to be a participant.
revolution, and I think the last poets may have said something like this. This is a paraphrase. Revolution is change, and life is change. But yet somehow, sometimes you said that people that might have missed it last time, sometimes we get complacent in a place while change is really happening all around us. And what we need to realize in terms of the liberation of revolution, that we are the change.
Yeah.
You say here in this poem, the revolution will happen in the minds of the people. The revolution happens universally, globally, internationally, and in single cells. The revolution will happen on cable vision. The revolution will happen in a state of mind.
Yes, so we're in agreement.
Sister Angela is commenting earlier, but I want to just say that she made the comment that music and poetry are in fact magical bridges. And so maybe in this poem, The Revolution, but also others in this book, people may find those moments that you spoke of earlier to see and feel what's inside one of these poems that will connect with their own spirit, that will strike a nerve, that will be a stimulation, a motivation for their own revolution, their own change.
Yeah, and one would hope that that would be the case. And I appreciate Sister Angela's comment. Yes, music and poetry can be that door, that wormhole to take us to a whole nother place in our lives. I'm just amazed when it happens for me. I get goose pimples when I read the right words or hear the right piece of music. I'm very emotional. I tend to cry. I have to watch things like the Super Bowl by myself because I'll tear up. It doesn't have to be about something sad. Just seeing Black people exuberantly expressing themselves and getting a response from the audience, that's enough for me. And so, yeah, I would hope, the book hasn't been out that long, but I've gotten a couple of nice comments or people who have the book. One woman who works at the Virginia Commission for the Arts, she says, "Your book is on my desk. I read something from it every morning to start my day."
Wow.
A great sentiment,
Isn't it? And who wouldn't? I got mine. I got some pages here that I got bookmarks in so I can turn right to it.
Yeah, that's so great. And, another lady in Northern Virginia said that she related to the poem about Ornette Coleman. She inserted herself into that position as if it was written about her. And she says, I do that with several of the poems. Well, what a great tribute that somebody could personalize it or internalize it and be a part of their life. And so, I think that's probably the goal of most, if not all, writers to try to do something.
Well, there was one place that I was surprised and humbled to see that personalization. In this book right here,
yeah,
there's a poem, everybody's on page 26, when you get yours, turn there, called Maintaining Rhythms for Janine. That's me.
Yes, that's right.
You say, and it's a little bit lengthy, but a couple of places where you just say, maintain, the poem is maintaining rhythms. You say, maintain, don't let your energy wane, not when you've come this far, journeyed so far to get here, to right now, when you have this momentous moment, this dynamic day, or this dynamite day, this pulsating pause, this validating, culminating, unmitigating minute that you've been waiting for, waiting and waiting some more for, went through the open door for, you brought Elegba into it, and then waited some more for. Maybe you shouldn't be waiting no more. Maybe you should be doing even more, moving more, working and searching for more, burning and yearning for more, and earning more time to find the rhythms from deep in the Congo River that is your blood. You know me, Plunky Branch.
Well, Janine, this is going to be a mutual admiration part of this conversation. And that is to say, you inspire me. I'm glad you got the reference to the open door and a leg bar. I knew you would. but yes, I wrote that poem after seeing one of your performances, and I was that inspired. And I said, I wonder if Janine knows, one, how much she's appreciated, and two, it was an ode to you to say, as much as you have worked already, I wanted to encourage you not to let your energy wane, not to give up, not to confront you. So maybe waiting isn't the thing. And when I wrote those words, and I said, if I showed this to her, I hope she doesn't think that I'm saying she's not doing enough. No, to the contrary, I know how much you're doing, but I wanted to encourage you to say, you got to keep on going. You got to maintain it, because, you do so much. We do so much. We creatives, we people who are activists, we people who want to inspire each other to do great things. It takes a lot. And sometimes our energy can wane. Sometimes we can even wonder if we're making an impact. And so that poem was to say, you're the same kind of personalization you said that poem had for you. Your work had that kind of personal impact on me. And so I wrote about it. That's what we poets do.
So, the Zulu have the term sawubona, I see you. That sense of mutuality, that sense of empathy, that sense of what I want for me, I want for you, that sense of when we can do these things on our own pathways, but yet together, that oneness that you're talking about, that's spirit at work.
Absolutely.
And I'm just so grateful. You talking about you tearing up. I'm about to go run to get a tissue. I'm so grateful that that our friendship over the years has impacted you in this way, and that you would include those thoughts in your book. Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So what advice would you give to soon to become poets or poets right now? Sister Yamaja is here, and she is a beautiful spirited poet with us this evening. What advice would you give to folks who are on the stream with us?
Well, let me say first, I don't deign to tell anybody what to do, but I will freely give my opinions. My mother had a saying that was this kind of saying that you can say after anything that's ever said, she would say, that's your opinion. And so I will just give you my opinion. And some of this will sound just like just ordinary advice to anyone. One, I would say to poets out there, keep going. And I would say, as others have said to me, continue to write. You don't have to have planned to release a book or even to share it, but write. There are creative tutors that would say, pick a certain time of day to write. Some people write when they first wake up, when that zone of their mentality, when they're not quite awake, but some people say the spirits speak to them in that half sleep mode, or when they first wake up and have a thought without pre-thinking. So I would say write and write some more. There's no kind of writing that I know about that isn't enhanced by editing. So one, write freely. You don't have to pre-edit. You don't have to measure every word. But once you do write, you do want to go back through and either you or have somebody else edit your work, because we can often see our mistakes or see our true value ourselves until others kind of participate in that creative process. Mm-hmm. And then I would say, find what inspires you and then go there a lot, meaning it might be music. If you like jazz music, for example, jazz music may trigger some words. I know rappers who carry around a notebook so that they can always jot down a couplet or a key phrase. If you have a cell phone, you can do it on notes on your phone, but you know, these things come to us. Sometimes inspired thoughts pass our way, and if you wait, you may forget it. It may never come back. It may be that little twist of two words that go together in a unique way. So you want to be able to capture that, because we're all inspired, whether we're at church or performance or just walking through the park or walking in the woods. You want to be prepared to be able to capture those things. And I could probably do 20, 30 more things that are cliche, if you will, but they're sincere from me. I would urge people not to be afraid to express themselves. And don't, when I asked you, or when I suggested that you edit, that didn't mean that you censor yourself. I would say go ahead and put down your innermost thoughts, and you can come back and, you know, Janine, this book is called Juju Jazz Poetics. I had a friend of mine help me edit, to pick the poems. There were maybe 100 of these poems, and her name is Tanya Lucinda Jackson. She used to sing with me. You know her well. I gave her the task of whittling down my poems to a book. That's, again, getting somebody else's opinion.
Yes.
And she resisted the whole process. She said, I don't feel that I'm equipped to say which one of your poems is good or not. Who am I to say? I said, but you're a person who feels the lyrics. She's a singer, she's a vocalist, she's used to expressing herself lyrically. And I said, but I want you to just pick the one. So she picked them. Halfway through the process, she said, there were lots more than these 30 poems that we landed on, but a good portion of them were romantic, sexual, full of innuendo. And she thought, well, she said, well, maybe they don't have to go together. And what a great thought that was, because it allowed me to focus on some of the poems. Those poems I have to release anonymously, or they will be in a book that may be under a pseudonym, or they may be in my, they'll be called 100 Shades of Black, you know, something like that.
You know, your Magic Jubilee is with us tonight, and she was talking about, she was listening to you in terms of where some of this comes from and what the advice is about writing the things down. She says she's a poet herself, and she says for her, they're downloads, and it comes one time. So when it downloads, get it at that time. And she also, her suggestion in this conversation is to own your voice and allow spirit to flow.
That is so good.
And that's a thing. That's big. It's a handful of words.
Yeah.
But when we say own your voice, woo!
Yeah, it's
woo!
yours. And you're the only one that has that voice.
Woo!
Yeah, beautiful.
And allow spirit to flow. Because once you own it,
yeah,
the floodgates will open. That door you talked about will fling open.
Yes, I agree.
So thank you, Queen Sister, for adding on to that part in the conversation. I'm happy that everybody's here tonight. This is the 2022 Black Book Expo, a conscious literary festival, wouldn't you agree? And we're enjoying our second author chat with J. Plunky Branch. We are going to go on down to the Dominion Energy Center on February 26th and 27th, where you can pick up this book. You see it right here on our festival poster, along with many, many others of various genres. There'll be live entertainment. Plunky, are you coming? I'm putting you on the spot right now.
Yeah, I'm going to try to be there. I have a funeral to go to out of town this weekend. In fact, my dear friend Asante lost his wife.
Yes, I read that.
And so if I'm in town, I promise I will be there.
Well, it's not this weekend, but the next weekend.
Okay,
then 26 and 27.
Okay, then I will be there. That's good.
So on Sunday, Desiree Roots is gonna be there, and maybe we'll see Plunky Branch with a little jazz, a little juju jazz. On that stage on Saturday, vocalist and pianist Calvin Brown's gonna be there. Bring the children on Sunday as well. Bring the children every day, but bring the itty bitties on Sunday because Culture Queen is gonna be there. And she engages our children so royally. So you don't want to miss that. Pass it around, pass it around. You don't want to miss that. So what's your favorite poem?
Well,
and
my
what,
favorite.
what music might pair with it? You say you're gonna release something about poems and music?
Now that I've written the book, I am also going to do an audio book. My audio book is going to be slightly different because it's going to be music. It's going to be music with the recitation of these poems. But that lent itself to the idea of doing an album. And so I have a label in Europe, and the label director said, well, why don't you do an album? Well, 30 poems will make too long an album, but they picked out 10, or they say 10 or 12. And so I'm working on an album of these, spoken word album. And my new favorite poem is one in this book. Is called Blackness. And what I'm going to try to do now for the first time ever publicly, I'm going to play that is this poem's backing track. It's called Blackness, and it may be 3 or 4 minutes, so it's not too long, but it's long. So I'm preparing you if you have to use it as a commercial break. But I want you to hear this poem called Blackness and the music that goes along with it. Let's see if we can do this.
Okay, everybody, get ready. This is a world premiere, and you are here.
Absolutely. This is it. Oops, wrong. It's coming shortly. It's called Black.
Take your time. We ain't going nowhere.
This is the music. I hope you can feel the groove. It's an R&B groove. It's called Blackness is the poem. I am this, I am that. You can't miss that I am black. Everybody likes something. Everybody likes something. Something black. Something black. Something black. Black music, black culture, black people, black minds, black arts, black magic, black history, black times, black power, black skills, black skin, black and proud, black African, black leaders, black voices say it loud, black holes, black words, black thought, black world, black man, black woman, black boy, black girl, black panther, black cat, black ball, black unity, black studies, black pride. In the black community, black Jesus, black Madonna, black angels, black sea, black gold, black water, black ice, black like me, black like me, black like me, black like me.
Nice, nice, nice.
This is all the terms black. These are all black words. Here we go. I am that. You can't miss that I am black. Everybody likes something. That's a fact. Everybody likes something. Something black. Something black. Something black. Black sky, black cloud, black star, black night, black Mariah, black Jew, black and blue, black and white, blackberry, black English, black Russian, black beast, black smoke, black fire, black war, black peace, black theater, black comedy, black sambo in blackface, black dance, black jazz, black heritage, black race, black label, black mamba, blackboard bump, dick, black snake, black bird, black itch, little black book, black is great, 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 black is great.
Angela says, cool, that's nice.
And that. You can't miss that I am black. Everybody likes something. That's a fact. Everybody likes something. Something black. Something black. last verse. Black church, black caucus, black folks on the black hand side, black slaves, black workers, black graves of blacks who died, black pearl, black rock, black olive, black roots, black dog, black ghetto, black shoes, black boots, black and nappy, black top, black wisdom, black knowledge, black problem, black revolution, black solution, black college, black coffee, black ink, black nationalist integration, black male, black widow of black exploitation, black witch in the black, black strap molasses, black head, black tie affairs for black middle classes, black Negro, Afro-American black, black, black. You can't take it black. Black is black if you got to get back. Black is black if you got black, get back. Once you go black, you won't go back. The blacker the berry, the sweeter the juice. The creator has a master plan. It's a black thing. I hope you understand. The creator has a master plan. It's a black thing. I hope you understand. Fade to black. Fade to black. Fade to black. Fade
I
to
love
black.
it. I love it. I love it.
Well, it should make you smile.
Blackity, blackity, black, black, black.
Oh, there you go.
I love it. It's a groove. It's a message. Let me see what we're talking about over here. Got rhythm and flow and prose too.
Right on. That's great.
Yeah, Ma just says, you got that right. Now, when is this coming out? We going out tomorrow. You gotta get busy.
Yeah, I was trying to get it out for Black History Month. And in fact, that single may be available before the end of the month, but certainly beginning of March at the latest. We're working and we have the album cover, and we may be able to release this song as a single before the rest of it's ready.
Now that's a thing to do right there.
Yeah, so.
That is a thing to do right there. So who should buy this book, Plunky?
Well, old Black people should buy this book.
Come
and
on.
Younger white people should buy this book.
Okay, talk to us.
And I would say everybody in between. And that's a promotional statement, of course, but it in some ways is true. You know, we haven't talked about this at all, but I'm sure you have thoughts on this concept of critical race theory and educating our young people. And I don't just mean our young Black people. You know, our new governor and others around the country are trying to ban critical race theory. How inane is that? The idea that you would ban the discussion of anything in history because it, quote unquote, makes you uncomfortable. What about the discomfort we felt when we went through that history? This little bit of discomfort doesn't even tip the scale, doesn't even register on the scale. But be that as it may, we have to do all these things to sort of get through to young people, Black and white. I'm finding that younger people of all races are much more open, much more empathetic, much more into the internet and the information that it can give them without filters. Now, sometimes that can be bad, but I'm finding that people of all races and all ages are now much more open than they might have otherwise been. And so the people that should buy this book are people who can feel empathy, who can look at somebody else's work and relate it to themselves in a very personal way. Poetry is just largely very, very personal. And and to emphasize for the young people, I would say, you know, poetry is, you know, let me put it this way, rap is just one step away from or a different genre of poetry. The use of words in a rhythmic way to convey messages. When rap first came out, after the party rap of hip hop, hippity hip hop, the party rap, we were using rap music largely as I think Public Enemy said, you know, like they're the New York Times of our community. They were our press. They were our media for expressing what was going on in our lives. somewhere along the way, we got deep sixed into overemphasis of gangster rap. There are some who would say that that has been very detrimental to our community and training young people to be like gangsters. I think we could be more mature than that we can digest more than one thing from our poets. I think there's has been an overemphasis on the gangster aspect and the gangster rappers. In fact, one of the poems in my book talked about, it raises the question, why do we have so much gangster rap in our midst and not more inspired poets in our midst? Even the people who like gangster rap should buy not only my book, but other books of poetry, and visit places like the Elegba Folklore Society Cultural Center and come in contact with our culture in a very direct way. So I've gone on and on, but that's my marketing statement. Everybody buy the book.
So we have some people who are with us this evening that want to meet you. So I'm inviting them to come out on Sunday, yes, February 27th.
Yes.
You'll be at the at Rhythm Hall in the Dominion Energy Center. Now this place is at 6th and Grace downtown.
Yes.
Easy to find. It's on a Sunday, so it'll be easy to park.
There's
and
no
you
Super
can just come.
Day.
Say what?
There's no Super Bowl that day to conflict.
No Super Bowl that day.
And if you come,
we're there.
We can meet you and sign your book.
Absolutely. We're there from 3 until 7 on both days, so you can sleep late, whatever it is you want to do, and then come on out so you can relax. This conscious literary festival, the Black Book Expo, is an expression of self-care. So come on out. Now, you say, Plunky, poetic license is what I have taken with these verses, odes, and lyrics. Breaking rules and arms as poets are wont to do. But if these words grant you a smile or an agreeing nod or one good feeling, no matter how fleeting, perhaps I would have earned the title poet. I think so. What do y'all think? I see some hearts going up on the Facebook. I see some hearts going up. I hope that you all have enjoyed this time this evening with the one and only J. Plunky Branch and his book, Juju Jazz Poetics. It will be on the table at the in-person installment of the Black Book Expo on Saturday, February 26th, and also on Sunday, February 27th. And we have the book here at the Elegba Folklore Society's Cultural Center. So you can't miss. You can't miss. Thank you so much, Plunky, for being here with us tonight. This has been a dream.
Thank you so much for having me.
Next up, on Tuesday, February 22nd, A. Peter Bailey. His move to Harlem in 1962 changed his life forever. This is where he met Malcolm X. His newest title, Brother Malcolm X's Strategic Guide to Pan-Africanism, an important guide for people of African descent, is what we'll be talking about. Peter tells us anyone reading this book will increase their knowledge and guidance from Brother Malcolm on why Pan-Africanism is the best thing for people of African descent throughout the world to promote and protect the interests of African people. You ready? We'll be here on Tuesday, February 22nd at 7 o'clock in this very same place. Until then, everybody be well, and we'll see you next time.